VEEM is the designer and manufacturer of disruptive high-tech marine propulsion and stabilization systems for the global luxury motor yacht, fast ferry, commercial workboat and defence industries. In 2011, VEEM invested in gyrostabilization technology, and since then it has become a major industry disruptor in vessel stabilization. VEEM's market-leading gyrostabilizers significantly reduce the rolling motion of vessels in waves, increasing on-sea time and improving personnel safety and efficiency in a wide range of ocean conditions. We just heard briefly from Mark Miocevich, and Mark, of course, will be handing over to him shortly. Mark has been involved in the management of the company since 1982, when he and brothers Brad and Gary took over operations from their parents, who founded VEEM in 1968. Mark has extensive experience in engineering and manufacturing. He is a fellow of the Institute of Engineers in Australia and has a Bachelor of Applied Science majoring in mechanical engineering. Back over to you, Mark.
Thanks, Laura. Perhaps today we could start. This is a bit of an update of where we are at the moment. As you just heard, we're a manufacturer of marine gyrostabilizer and propulsion systems. We actually started off with the propulsion system development probably 20 years ago now, and we've developed the new manufacturing techniques which are patented and pioneered the art of fully machining propellers, which were traditionally before hand finished in the marketplace. So we lead the world in fixed pitch propeller technology and supply some of the most significant builders in the world with our products. So, but we felt that the gyrostabilizers could become a much larger product for us because it was technology which had laid dormant for 100 years. And we could, I guess, introduce new technology in electronics to make it work extremely effectively. So we embarked on that back in 2011. So we see some of the advantages of doing both products is there's significant potential for cross-selling of the two technologies. And we have seen that already. We're selling them gyrostabilizers. We can sell them a propulsion system at the same time. So we felt that we could utilise auto distribution network around the globe to help sell a new product, which was, I guess, a cheaper way of developing a product in the marketplace. So we've always been a bit of a disruptor. We believe that it's very important to develop new technology and new ways of manufacturing product to make these high barriers for entry for other people. So with propellers, we look for advantages in manufacturing. So it means that a competitor has to spend some tens of millions of dollars just to sit at the table to compete with us, let alone then develop the actual processes themselves. So it's the same with large gyrostabilizers. You can imagine that we've spent something in the order of $12 million designing and developing the designs and concept of this, and it will be the first into this space in a major way. We'll end up with probably 6 products in this large end of the market, which puts us in a unique position, and somebody has to come along with something very special just to sit at the table and compete with us. So it was a deliberate strategy of us. The beauty of the company is that we've had an engineering company specialising in defence work and local mining work for some 50 years, which has underpinned all this development financially. Very unique position for a company to be releasing new high technology products, but having it funded through the normal operations of its traditional business. So we believe that this new stabilisation market is a very large addressable market, and we are the significant player in our end of town. So propulsion, we started off with full computer numerical control machining of all surfaces of the propeller, which is still not done commercially. There is some defence areas that governments own and control, but commercially we're it globally, and that is a very unique thing. It's very difficult to do, and we've developed all of the software and programming to enable us to do that. We also have a patented robotic system which enables us to make any size propeller without having to produce expensive patterns to make the castings of. So we've really developed a unique program We also have a patented, you can see in the photograph there, a gentleman is pushing a plastic strip into a groove in the propeller blade. We have a patented pitch changing device which enables you to change the effective pitch of the propeller underwater, which is quite unique. Normally a boat has to be lifted at great expense and the propeller has to be taken off, taken back to a propeller shop, bashed, which effectively destroys its profile, and then put back on until they get it right. This way they can jump over the side and do it in probably 15 minutes, and they can tune the propeller in to the boat. And that's really important when they're production boats, because all boats have different accessories and different weights, and they also operate in many different oceans. So when a boat is built in cold water, it often will require propeller tuning when it goes into warm water, such as the Caribbean. So that's been a real deal winner for us, and we supply people such as Viking Yachts, the largest sports fishing boat builder in the US, Princess Yachts, who are a very large builder in the UK, and now we're moving into the Ferretti group through Riva and CRN in Italy. So there's some quite good business there for us. But we really felt the market would run out a lot of competition, and we felt we wanted something that was bigger. So we moved into the gyrostabilization market, which is basically using the natural forces of the gyroscope to prevent a bowl of the boat from rolling at all speeds and all conditions. So we started this off in 2011 as a concept, and we purchased a local company, like a node of excellence that had been developed in Fremantle, and this is one of those companies that formed part of that node. And we recognised the technology was very good. So we bought him and his company, bought his soul, as we say, and he's still with us now, and we've been developing it since. So in about 2015, we launched our first product, the VG120, into the marketplace. We sold one in 2016, and we've been working with the market to help them understand the technology. And there is an element of this with anything new tech. You've got to be able to win the market over on the concept first. It's an expensive kit, and the boats they're building are expensive. They don't want to take unnecessary risks. So we've done that. And in 2019, we sold our bigger models, and we now feel that we have got acceptance of the technology. It's now spreading through the marketplace, and we can see the growth in the sales. And you can see that we had 4.8 million sales in 2019-20, and we already hold $3.4 million worth of orders in hand for this financial year. We have significant more orders that are very, very close. So we'll see significant growth going forward, which is what we're looking for. So the beauty of gyrostabilizers is it works on any monohull. It can work on tri-hulls if they're designed correctly, but the biggest market for us is the monohulls. So we look at each type of the market. We have commercial. The beauty of the gyro on a commercial boat is it enables the boats to work more days at sea. So they can come alongside a structure in the ocean and unload, whether it be people or goods, more days of the year. It also enables their cranes and their gangways to operate within their envelopes for more days of the year. So whilst they will take a little longer to break the commercial market, they'll be able to actually measure the extra income each boat can earn. So we think that's going to be very successful, and Damen ships obviously are a major player in that field. The defence market, the most conservative market, but what we provide for them is the ability to operate under all sea conditions. They often lose crew when there's sea state 4 and 5, which is very rough. So the boat will effectively could be manned by less people, which is important in terms of cost. They can launch and recover all of the inflatables at rest, which they can't do at the moment when it's rough. They can also board more easily and more safely when they're boarding vessels when they have to come alongside. And most importantly, it's considered to be what they call a force multiplier, as when your light weapons are more accurate because the boat is more stable. And of course, the superyacht market, where they've historically used a active fin technology, which works okay, but only okay at rest, because it's quite jerky in its motion. And of course, you can't use it when you're swimming because people can swim into a moving foil. But certainly there's a problem when they take off. There's no stabilisation up to about 12 or 13 knots where the fins start to take effect. But anything over about 19 knots, the drag associated with using fins becomes prohibitive. So on the larger gyro market, VEEM is the only proven player in this area, and we're now producing 6 models in this space, and we are also, see the competition is really with fins, the active fins, but it's looking at horse and buggy versus motor car is the way we see the technology. What we've seen, we've been able to get a fairly accurate view of the super yacht market, and we've done the world survey recently and found that there's an order book of 737 vessels, representing about 273 million US of gyro sales. So you can see the market is extremely large, and this is without looking at oil and gas and defence. So this is the current order book that VEEM can attack in its sales efforts. And what we can see is already now, you can see our sales. This is a 6-month by 6-month graph. And you see that it's now starting to grow very strongly. And it's doing what we predicted it should do when we first floated the company. Some exciting work going on here with Damen. Damen is the second largest shipbuilder in Europe, but it also is the largest small shipbuilder in the world. They produce 175 vessels. I think a couple of years ago it was 200. So you can see they're a very large builder. And after some extensive trials of our 260 model in the Netherlands, we secured an order for the first of our 1000s. And you'll see a photograph there of our staff alongside the 1000. It's a 20-ton machine which can stabilise a vessel, can weigh up around 700-800 tons. So it's a big unit, very powerful, puts out 1 million Newton meters of torque, and that's our first one that was completed. So we also have now secured our second order for Damen as we released, which is a company called NWR Integral, based in Mexico, and they're actually contracting to Shell. So Shell was intimately involved in the decision-making process, and of course Shell operates some 15 of these vessels in the Gulf. So we're very excited about this order. So what we're seeing now is a unit worth around 1.35 million US as a retail price. We've now secured our second order. There is other orders that are very close, which we will let the market know when they occur. But we were looking at building one of these per year initially, and it looks like we're going to have to uprate that significantly to maybe 3 or 4 units per year immediately to meet demand. So that's very good news for us. So we're now cementing ourselves as a market leader in large gyros. The sales and inquiries are continuing to grow at an accelerating rate. We've formed a very specialised sales team now who specialise in closing sales. Our earlier sales team was more focused on delivering a technical understanding of the product, which was very important for early adopters. So we've been able to now tune that in, so it's a more aggressive, and I'd have to say probably more successful at closing sales than perhaps our technical focus guys were. And we've seen VEEM carry out a series of trials around the world, all of which have been successful. And of course that resulted in Damen's work. But we've also recently done some in the US, which also is very successful in our mid-series of gyros. So we're starting to see true acceptance of what we're doing. Now, we were very careful to make sure that once the sales arrived, that we could deal with the volume. So earlier last financial year, we completed a new facility for assembling of gyros. So it's a 4,000 square metre assembly hall, and we can assemble up to $100 million worth of gyro turnover per annum out of that hall. So we've been very careful to make sure that we can meet the demand from the market. So right, so what we've got is a continuing growth in this new product. We're continuing to grow a little slower in propellers, but we still have our normal profitable part of our business, the defence and the local mining and industrial part of the business is still growing. And the defence market, as you know, is receiving increased attention from the federal government, and VEEM is very well placed to be able to, I guess, maximise that position and pick up more work on all of the future programs. And there's 4 new platforms being constructed at the moment, and I believe our Prime Minister has been discussing building of ammunition and missiles here as well. So I think that's going to continue to be a very strong local face for our business. And what we have is just a recent snapshot of what we're doing. So that's where we sit at the moment with our products. Perhaps we could now move on to question and answer.
Thanks so much, Mark, for that very informative presentation. We've got some questions for you. Can you please explain why VEEM has suddenly seen a significant acceleration in sales of VEEM's gyros?
It's interesting. It does look a little sudden, I know, but it's actually all part of the process of developing a product. You've got to go through the research and development, the design phase. Then you've got to go through the trials and acceptance phase. You've got to remember, you're delivering a new disruptive technology to the world. It hasn't been even played with since the 1920s. So you've got to let people absorb all that new knowledge and information. Most questions were, when we started this 4 or 5 years ago, was what does it do? How does it work? And they couldn't believe the fact you could put a box inside a boat and the boat would stop rolling. So we had to go through the trials and the testing. And as you get people gain an understanding, they do their research themselves. And now we're starting to see an acceptance of that new technology. And that's when it starts to race. And as you get some bigger key players, such as Damen and some of the other major boat builders in the Netherlands start adopting the technology, then everyone feels much more comfortable and they're all now rushing in to take advantage of it.
As with many things, they change slowly, then very suddenly, I guess. And do you expect this momentum to continue? And what gives you confidence of that, perhaps? You did indicate that you do expect it to continue. So a bit more colour around why you're confident around that.
I think what we've seen around the globe is we've seen now fairly wide acceptance. We've been assisted by a company called Seakeeper in the US, who manufacture a small gyro range below our range, and it's strictly a recreational unit, but it's become extremely popular. We've seen now in certain segments of the market, there's 100% take up. So manufacturers can't sell a boat without a gyro. So we've seen, for instance, there's a boat most people will know called a Boston whaler, and a Boston whaler, 40-foot Boston whaler now, 100% of Boston whalers sold in the 40-foot range have gyrostabilizers. 50% of the 30-foot boats have that. And what we're seeing is, as boat builders come across to us, and we've seen now people like Van der Voort, Quash, and even now Damen, is they're just ordering a gyro for each of their projects. So it's repeat orders. Once you've won the boat yard, they never change back. So we're starting to see massive growth, and we believe certainly that within 10 years that no one will buy a boat without a gyro. Once you've experienced the fact the boat doesn't roll, it's addictive.
So yeah, so I guess once you acquire the customer, then they seem to be quite sticky from what you're saying. Well, what is the typical EBITDA margin on a gyro sale?
We look at it, we measure it by gross profit terms, if that's perhaps a better way of describing it. Our GP and our general products is around 45, 46%. The gyros have started off around the 30% area, but this is early production. So by opening up in a new assembly hall, we will obviously see efficiency come about, and we expect the gyros to run in the high 30s to low 40% GP area. So it has got a bigger mix of material. Traditionally, our company runs at EBITDAs of up to 17%. We expect the EBITDAs to probably be around 15% across the board due to the higher buy-in of materials with lower GPs for gyros.
Another question that's just popped up around potential product expansion in the future. Is VEEM likely to launch their own smaller products to compete with Seakeeper directly, given the better quality of the VEEM technology, as you said?
That's a really good question. It's something that we've been working on as a board, and we have been doing some research on small gyros. And small gyros is of interest to us. If we can deliver a higher technology product at a better price, we are already about 18% cheaper than the smaller seakeeper units per unit of stabilisation. So there is potential. There is also the potential to grow through acquisition. So we're looking at Seakeeper and a few other companies to see if there's something we can do in that smaller area that makes sense. But I think our primary focus has got to be is to make sure that we're set up on the big end of town with the big units, got those running properly with the right margins and the right growth rate. And then we take a look at where we can go from there. But it certainly presents some opportunities to be the Bunnings of the stabilisation world.